Welcome to Life, Love, and Good Stuff. Father and daughter chats with David and Sophie McCallum. Here we discuss seeing and living life through the lens of self-love, how family relationships and life experiences hinder or fuel an authentic, rewarding life. A life filled with conscious, compassionate self-love. And sometimes we just have a good chat. Actor David McCallum has appeared in theater, film, and television and is a critically acclaimed author. David's most enduring roles include the Russian agent Ilya Kuryakin in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Dr. Donald Ducky Mallard on the CBS hit NCIS. Sophie McCallum was born in New York City where she lives today. Sophie's a certified life coach but specializes in self-love coaching as the self-love peddler. Sophie is an energy leadership master practitioner and strives to start each day with love in her heart for herself and the world around her. Hi, Dad.
Hello again.
Hello again.
And welcome.
So, I'm just going to ask you some questions that I love to ask. That's all. Simple.
Let's hope I have the answers.
What things are you good at? Sorry, that's
Everything.
Horrible English.
What
things are you good at? Ending a sentence in a preposition.
Yeah, but that one's okay.
Why?
Well, to be good at something
At
is...
what things are you good?
Yeah, that's pedantic.
It's pretty bad.
You talk to Churchill, he'll let you know about that one.
Yeah.
No, I really... The word at has come in... and it is so intrusive and it makes me scream and yell.
My favorite birthday card is, what is it?
Well,
it's your birthday, where are we meeting at? And then it says, please don't end a sentence in a preposition. And then you open up the card and it said, it's your birthday. Where are we meeting at, bitch?
Yes, see.
Breakdown of language. Anyway.
Yeah.
So what are you good at?
Like's the other one.
Yeah, that.
And you know's the best one.
You know. Oh my God, the you know.
Sometimes, like, who is it? The mayor of New York? De Blasio. You listen to him and make your speech.
You know.
You know comes out every other song.
Okay, so at what are you good? What are you good at?
Everything.
Everything.
Well, if I'm not, I should be working at it.
Well, that's a little bit of a tall order. I mean...
Well, give me some for instances.
Well, if I had needed brain surgery, I wouldn't think that you would be the one I would call.
But I don't do brain surgery, so it's not...
So what do you do is the question.
What do I do that I'm good at?
Yes.
That's a different question altogether.
Okay, well that is what my intention was to ask you that question, so I apologize for not being clear.
What do I do? Well, I love to eat, and I love to eat well. Mm-hmm. So that follows that... there was a producer whose wife taught me to cook Pakistan curries and things. I lived in Africa for many years as a subaltern, 424, whatever it was. And I learned all the African curries where they use groundnuts, which are peanuts, in the curries. And my first wife in the divorce agreement said she wanted the recipe to my African curries.
Did she
really? She didn't get them. No, she tried. So that's cooking. I'm an extremely on the speed limit driver.
Mm-hmm. That I can attest to.
It's very frustrating to basically have chosen not to drive anymore, any long distances. Because I think at 88 it's not prudent. I can drive anywhere and do anything, provided I'm not tired. But then I can rest and then drive some more. But I've always tried to be a good driver. Sleeping, I'm trying to learn how. It's a very strange thing as you get older. You need less sleep, and then you have all these nocturnal trips you have to make. But you just say, well, that's the way it is now, and you deal with it all the way you can. But I'm good at teaching myself to sleep. What else do I do? Writing. I wrote a book, and some of the reviews, the ones which I really like, they compared me to the movie North by Northwest, which is one of my favorite movies, so that was really nice. And somebody said, it's very like John Grisham's style of where has he been? Why hasn't he written before? That was very complimentary. And I pick it up and I look at it and I sometimes wonder, did I really do that? And it's taken, a couple of 2 or 3 years now, but I'm sitting down again, and in that, right there is my computer, and I'm writing a sequel. Because my publishers, when I suggested a sequel, they said, no, thank you. And then they said, we want this. And so I went away and for 8 weeks wrote a whole idea. And then it was a note I got back, no, we don't want that. So I thought, well, there goes 8 weeks. So I put it all away and said, forget it, I'm not going to bother. And now I've started writing again. And what happens is, I'm doing it the way I wanted, because all of those publishing companies that tried to tell me what to do, they've all gone out of business. And I'm still here. So I'm enjoying it, because what happens is, when I'm doing it well, I don't know if it happens with other writers, the characters in the book totally take over. You set them off, they get on a bicycle and start riding. And all of a sudden, one of them has a flat. Things happen that they make happen, or they have to deal with. And in dealing with it, they come up with ideas that are better than anything that you could have a preconceived notion. It means you have not a clue about where the book's going to go, other than the direction that each of them is taking is obviously that they have a goal in mind. So the book itself has that goal. But
do you have scaffolding for the whole thing?
No.
Did you on the last book?
No.
Huh.
No, the last book was, I didn't know how to write. I wasn't good at it. So I said, you've got to put this right. So I said, well, what's the story going to be? And I was an actor at that time, and I was a little bit out of work, and there were a few bills to pay and things. So I wrote a story about an actor who found $1 million in a suitcase. That morphed into Once a Crooked Man, which is published and available.
I remember the day you started it, and Peter and I were packing up the linen closet because we were selling the house.
So it's, how many years ago is that, for goodness sake?
I think we sold the house in 1990.
And it was probably, I don't know when it was published.
But I remember because you were helping us pack, and all of a sudden you said, I'm going to write a book. And Peter and I looked at each other like, what happened to packing? We got stuck packing the sheets, and you went off into your office.
And wrote a book, yeah.
And wrote a book.
But it is such a pleasure when it works. And what is wonderful is when you find yourself, in those occasions when you're with people that you don't really want to be with, and the conversation is inane, and they want to do this and that, or this is not inane, but it's when your mother's talking about growing up here in this environment, and I wasn't here. So all the people she's talking about, I haven't a clue who they are, or what the school was, or who Mr. So-and-so was who was teaching Latin or whatever. Your mind can just say, okay, what's the next bit of the book, And now you begin to generate that whole, what might be the next bit. And I do carry a little tape recorder.
Well, it's on your phone, too.
Yeah, it's too bulky. No, this is the next book.
That's awesome.
And you just phrases and ideas, and somebody will say, hey, write that down. What else am I good at? I played the oboe as a child for a while, and Murray, my cousin, came over, who's a cellist on Broadway, and we sat down and played a page of Telemann or something. I can't even remember what it was, and I could play. It was really quite remarkable that I could still remember. Quite a few years back. It's one of those things that certain things, in order to keep being good at, you got to practice. And all music, as you know, you can't not practice. My father, I mean, when he wasn't playing with the Royal Philharmonic or the London Philharmonic or on tour with Beecham in America, he was just, I would come to fills and he'd play them. But my mother, in between when he was playing, fed him bacon and eggs, and he finally died of a stroke.
You always pin that on her. I don't think that's
She was the one that suggested it.
That's a fair
We were in front of the fire
draw.
together in Arundel, and we'd just come back from all this terrible week of... anyway. And she looked at me and said, I killed him, didn't I? I said, what? She said, I killed him. Bacon. I gave him bacon and eggs every morning.
Well, she just put them down. He was the one who chose to eat them.
Oh. She put them down because he liked them and he wouldn't have had it any other way. No.
So what...
I'd like to paint. I don't know how.
You're a very good painter. You might not want to say you are, but you are.
But
I love to paint too, but I can't paint the way you paint.
I just... that I can do canvases about that big, and I have an idea in my mind. They're all like the Hudson School, those rivers and boats and
But your sketching is
trees and
incredible.
everything.
Do you remember the sketch you made of me of the heart tree for Valentine's Day?
Oh yeah, I love
I'm
that
using
one.
that for my business logo.
Oh,
It's
I
beautiful.
love that tree.
I love that tree too.
And that was one of the few that I didn't sort of steal from somebody else.
You also,
The
I
dog
remember the
comes
dog
in.
Walter. I have Walter framed in the
Yeah,
city.
but that
I
kid-
wanted a dog, so you drew me one, which it's a
And
great drawing.
I bought a book which said how to draw animals and found a dog and copied it. But I mean,
Walter.
dear Walter, yeah.
So of all of the things that you're good at, which of your pastimes make you feel the most fulfilled?
Oh, writing, obviously, right now. But when I'm not doing that, I used to be so happy on a golf course, and I used to be so happy riding a bicycle. And I'm not strong enough to play, to hit a ball, pick up a golf club even. And my cardiologist said no more bike riding because I take a blood thinner, and I've had one or two glorious crashes in Central Park, and if I had one now it could kill me because of the likelihood of a
Blood issue.
clot. And
So when do you feel most self-sufficient?
all the time. I have reached a degree of success in the things that I like to do, and I go from one to the other, be they writing, be they reading, be they sleeping, be they cooking, whatever.
Acting never gets mentioned in any of this.
Yeah, well, that's sort of a 101. That's there.
Right.
That's me. I mean, that's not something I do. That's...
Well, I would
I
argue it
suppose,
is
yeah,
something
yeah,
that you've
yeah.
done for a long time.
But I played Julius Caesar in Central Park and the Emperor in Amadeus.
Mm-hmm.
Did you really? How cheeky. But I mean, and it was very sweet. I got one comment from Sir Peter Hall when we were rehearsing Amadeus. And he came up to me one day and he said, David, and he whispered in my ear, he said, don't be modest. And he was brilliant because, you walk onto a stage with a stick and there's all these courtiers who are coming, Now you can walk over to them and talk to them, or you can just stand there and they come to you. That's the difference. So you don't be modest means come out there and you're the top of the heap. I mean, you don't have to do anything. And it's a wonderful sensation. Then, of course, playing Caesar as well. And then I thought I'd better stop playing Caesars and Emperors because it was going to my head. But it amazes me that I did that. I mean, I don't remember a single word of...
And you rode your bike to work, right?
Yeah, I rode
Every
the bike
night?
to work and back.
That was pretty cool.
And I did one night without a microphone. The microphone didn't work. So I said, here we go.
And could everyone else do that as well, or was it?
Well, nobody had to, because it was only my mic that went out.
Huh.
And afterwards, I got on my bike and I was wheeling it out, and I met a woman who had been way up at the back in the corner. She said it was so wonderful to hear a voice for a change,
And not
amplified.
Yeah.
I said, well, please God, I don't want to do it tomorrow.
Never let it happen again.
Once is enough. That was hard.
So what is stopping you or has stopped you from making a change you'd like to make in your life?
What has stopped me from making a change in my life? Oh, I think time is the hardest element. When Kirsten married Peter, and she was with us for a few years, and then one day she buttonholed me and she said, don't you guys ever stop? I said, what do you mean? She said, you're all so busy. You never stop. Now, I have Fabian, who is, God bless his heart, can put my muscles straight and has been very, very helpful in overcoming certain aches.
Sports
and pains.
massage.
He's a sports masseur. And he says, right, you have to do this. You have to drink a lot of water. You have to do this exercise, and then if you want to get your back, you do this exercise. You do them, 5 reps 3 times a day, and that's like 4 different things. It just doesn't happen, because the idea of stopping to do something like that, I'm busy. It's true. I mean, right now I know that I want to go out to the shed at some point. I've already cleaned it and put it all around. I have a little fire in there and I got it all neat. But I have all the cushions.
You have a fire going in the shed right now?
Well, it's a heater,
Okay.
Not right now, but I mean, I can turn it on. I'm good at turning on fires. I'm good at fires, by the way. Oh, I'm a
fire builder. And you taught me.
Yeah, if you're out in the woods and you pick a safe area, and you and I can get a good fire going. When I was a child, we had a grill that we used to take in the car with my Uncle John, and we would get big stones, 3 big stones, by a loch somewhere, and put this grill on there, and you dig a hole, and then you put the potatoes in there, baking potatoes, cover up with dirt, and then build a fire on top of that. And Auntie Margaret would come out with a black pot of stovies, as it's called in Scotland, which is a stew with potatoes and onions and everything, and she'd put that on the grill, and it would cook all day with the smoke going into it and the pot getting thicker and thicker with carbon. And then when we'd come out of the loch all bright and bushy-tailed, and we'd towel down and put on our sweaters or whatever we wore, and you dig the potatoes out and they'd be black, and you just broke the black away, and there was a beautiful baked potato in the middle of it, smelling of all the fire, and then the stovies, and we'd all eat and stuff.
What year would that have been?
Oh, so when did the war, the early part of the war, 1939, when they started, it was rough, but they weren't bombing. When they started bombing, I was sent up to Scotland to be with my aunt, and Ian was there too. And his ashes are actually scattered on that loch right there.
Oh, really?
That's where he wanted to be, where he and I built all those.
You know what I want to do?
We built rafts and sailed out on rafts.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Logs and stuff, and tied them.
You know how in The Great Escape you make the sock sacks and for the dirt to come out of the tunnel?
Right.
You pull the strings and it goes out in the yard and you push it aside with your feet. Well, I want my ashes sprinkled in Central Park, which I have since found out is illegal. So I think that my kids go in with your sock thing filled with my ashes, and they just walk through Central Park slyly, pulling at the strings on their socks. So a marriage of my funeral and The Great Escape.
Yeah.
So time, yeah.
Yeah, time is it, because writing is good because it's not something that happens instantly. But if there are one or two things that have to be done, if something needs to be glued, or something has to be, or there's a plate broken, it has to be really carefully so you don't see the crack when you put it all together again. Just wish there were, a week was 14 days. I could fill it all. But then I'd be probably just as busy.
Yeah, I get nervous with all the things that I want to do about time. Not so much running out of time while I'm here, but not being here. The understanding that I can't control how long I'm here. You've had a long and will continue to have a long life.
You're constantly prioritizing.
Yeah.
That's very important.
And for me, it used to be hard to do things such as sleep, which we've discussed, to take the time to sleep so that you can show up and get stuff done, because sometimes it can feel like a waste of time when there are all of these things you want to do and you have to stop and refuel. And that's a huge part of self-care for me. And that's something I've changed. My husband taught me a lot about that. He's good at saying, wait, stop. Let's just be for tonight or this afternoon.
As he goes through life like an express train, he needs to sort of put the brakes on.
Right.
And I'm working with him, and I'm watching all the time to see where things go wrong. That's all I'm interested in, because he can take care of everything. He's very good at being number one and dealing with things. And I just want to make sure that in dealing with this one doesn't get missed, and little things like that.
Well, everyone needs backup.
Yeah.
Everyone needs backup. So how comfortable are you with challenges?
Physical challenges, not anymore. And throughout my life, I've never been a particularly physical person. I'm not as Catherine, your mother, is as competitive as it's possible to be. And I'm not like that, I've never really had that.
My memory as a child of playing with you, I remember building things with you, wood shop and Lego, and taking the time to build and create things together. And my memories of playing with Mom is just getting beaten at whatever game it was.
Oh, I know.
She just, I'm never going to let you win. She used to say, you'll thank me someday.
She goes into tennis with her mother, her stepmother, and wins the cup.
Yeah.
Jake wins the backgammon tournament, having bet every penny he got on himself. He was so
competitive.
And he was so competitive, but winning. The Burton board winning.
Jake is my mother's brother who started
my having
Burton
television
Snowboards.
series on NBC, number one show, winning. Everybody, we're all, winning all the time.
Not all of us. Some of us have struggled. I mean...
But
it took me until
pattern.
my 40s to figure out the area of life professionally where I could, quote unquote, win. That's not what I see myself doing. But succeed.
You get a sense of satisfaction that's,
Yeah. There are other things in my life that I'm incredibly proud of, but...
Oh, by the way, Jack Nicklaus had the greatest line.
What is his
He said, when you hit a good shot, stop and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Then go on.
Right.
And it's true of everything. Don't lose those moments.
No.
And then the other one is Michael Sloane's bathroom in California before the sea came and washed it away, or whatever. I stayed there because I couldn't afford a hotel.
I stayed there with you, with all the dogs on the beach in Malibu.
I remember that bathroom. We went up, and then you closed the door, and there was all stuff hanging, but there was a sign on the back of the door. of a man or a woman, I can't remember which, who died at the age of 104. And before he died, someone had said, if you had your life over again, what would you do? And it just said, I'd take more risks.
Yeah.
And that had a profound effect on me. Because the most perspicacious, is that the word? Paul McCallum, son Paul, he once said to me after there was a performance or something, and he said, you know, Daddy, why do you always have the brakes on? And that had a profound effect on me too. Because it was he's absolutely right.
How old was he?
Oh, we're talking, you know, before NCIS, but, you know, while I was working and doing it, quite late.
Do you still have the brakes on?
No.
No.
But it was such a wonderful thing to say. It was like Peter Hall saying, you know, don't be modest.
Right.
What it means has got nothing to do with the words. But, you know, I was brought up in a church, and, you know, we went to church as children. I'm not a religious person. I have great beliefs, but that's another story. And, you know, when we went to church, the pew had McCallum on the back of it, and that's where you sat. And we were upstairs, you know, it's Presbyterian church, you have a balcony all the way around. We were up there, and and we used to get there on time and sit there and sing hymns and walk home. But that, I don't know, that upbringing kind of put the brakes on. I mean, I was told, as far as becoming an adult, Auntie Margaret McCallum told me, and she said, always remember that a penny in the black is respectability, and a penny in the red in your bank account was hell and damnation. Had certain slight religious connotations. It was heavy stuff. You know.
So that's the kind of stuff that we were talking about the last time we spoke, which was that stuff from childhood, the heavy stuff of your 5-year-old self. Those things take time to shed, the hell and damnation stories. And I am always in awe of people who are young, they have no hell and damnation stories, and they don't have brakes, or they use them wisely.
Yeah.
Because I too, it took me a long time to wisely have no brakes. I had no brakes in a reckless manner at times when I was younger. But to use, I guess it's not so much for me not having the brakes all the time, but just being aware that you have brakes and when to use them is the key. And
also there's fear of consequence. If you're feeling that if you do something you're inadequate and you won't succeed, that's a terrible thing to have. But I have that very slight now. Well, probably not at all anymore.
You've kind of tried everything.
I'm still
and
trying.
Succeeded.
I'm good at everything.
On that note, I think that's what we started with, that you're good at everything. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah.
I love you.
And the cat's wondering what's happening.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Please hit the subscribe button so you're notified each time a Life, Love, and Good Stuff Father and Daughter Chats with David and Sophie McCallum podcast drops. Until next time, remember to lead with love.